Greetings all, Dr. X here, good to see ya. All right, in today's video, I'm going to talk with you about the dissertation proposal. In particular, I'll talk with you about the 3-chapter dissertation proposal that I use with my doctoral students. Now, if you haven't already done so, please take a look in the description for this video. I've left a link for you there to download the dissertation outlines that I use with my doc students. They may help you in being able to get started on your dissertation as well. But the reason I'm having you download it is because I'm going to spend today's video talking about 3 of the chapters that are included in that outline. So if you haven't already done so, get the outline and then let's get started on a 3-chapter dissertation proposal. All right, so what do I mean by a 3-chapter dissertation proposal? Well, that's really simple. It is the first 3 chapters of your dissertation. So for your proposal, what you'll be writing is chapter 1, which is your introduction, chapter 2, which is the literature review, and chapter 3, which is your research methods. So what the first 3 chapters then become is the proposal for research you'll do on your dissertation. Now, the advantage of taking this approach to writing a research proposal is that you are getting a chance to actually write out the content of the first 3 chapters of your dissertation. You get feedback from your committee as well as your chair, and it just makes it easy to go back and just do revisions after you conducted your research and written up your findings, right? So the first 3-chapter proposal really does make a difference for doctoral students being able to move more quickly onto their research. So that's why I always work with my doc students on a 3-chapter proposal. So where does the dissertation proposal fit in your timeline for completing your doctorate? Well, it comes toward the end of your coursework or after your coursework is complete. A lot of my students will take a summer and a semester to get it written, or they'll do it the semester after they've completed their coursework. But it comes into play right before you start doing your research. You actually conduct your research before you get IRB approval. So that's where it fits in your dissertation timeline. Here are 4 steps I'd encourage you to take before you start writing on your dissertation proposal. All right, step number 1, take a look at 10 dissertations. That's right, you're going to look at 10. Now listen, I know that sounds like a lot, it's not. As someone who's read hundreds of dissertations, taking a look at 10 of them is easy. But here's what you're going to really pay attention to. You're going to pay attention to the way they wrote up chapter number 1, because that'll give you some information and some ideas about how you can write up your rationale for the study, what delimitations, how those are written up. You'll look at the way in which they contextualize the introduction of their dissertation. You'll also want to take a look at the research methods chapter. Now, the research methods chapter can help you as you're beginning to write your research methods. It'll help give you some ideas about how to write it. Some research studies that they cite can help you in the writing of your chapter number 3. And I also want you to pay particular attention, to the final chapter where they talk about recommendations, because they may make some recommendations that give you some idea about research questions that you can take on as part of your dissertation. Now, if you can find research studies that have been published, definitely you want them to be published in the last 3 to 5 years at the most, right? Because that's current research. And again, they can give you some really great ideas about where to focus your dissertation. But the other thing, as a pro tip I want to give you, is try and identify dissertations that your dissertation chair chaired, right? Where your dissertation chair sat as the chair. That'll give you some sense of what you can expect that chair will expect of you in your dissertation. So that's just a little pro tip. Look for those dissertations that are where your chair served as the chair of the committee. Okay, step 2, you're going to decide on a specific topic and draft initial drafts of your research questions. Now, once you have your draft of your research questions and the topic area you want to focus in, you're going to do step 3. Sit down and have a meeting with your dissertation chair. This is going to give you and your chair an opportunity to really start beginning to craft what it looks like for your dissertation research. Now, once you two have come to some agreement around the topic, maybe some of the methods, and those research questions, then you're going to do step 4. Step 4 is sitting down and meeting with your dissertation committee. Now, this is an initial meeting. It is not a proposal defense. It's just an initial meeting where you can sit down, talk through some ideas with them, talk through some ideas that really help set the direction for what you're going to be doing in your proposal. Now, once you get their buy-in and once everything's settled with the committee and your chair and you get their approval, then you move on to working on your dissertation proposal. Now, the dissertation proposal, as I mentioned before, is going to consist of 3 things. Chapter 1, which is your introductory chapter. Chapter 2, which is the literature review in support of what you've written in Chapter 1 and Chapter 3. And then Chapter 3, which is your research methods chapter. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail here. I'll just give you a couple of screenshots right now of what should be contained in each of those chapters. For Chapter 1, it's your introduction. You should include a chapter introduction, a background for the study, a statement of the problem, need for the study, purpose of the study, rationale for the study, significance of the study. Now, on significance of the study, what you're going to do is give a preliminary assessment, or you're just going to make a claim. And the significance, because you haven't done the research yet, you don't know what the significance is. You're just going to give some sense of what you think the significance may be. All right, significance of the study. Your research questions, delimitations, and researcher reflections are for those of you doing qualitative research. If you're doing quantitative research, those don't apply to you. Any key terms you're able to identify so far, and a chapter summary. Now, that's what you're going to include in chapter number 1. In chapter number 2, they're very specific to each discipline, to each person writing their dissertation. So you and your chair are going to come up with the outline that you'll be using for chapter number 2. And then for chapter number 3, here's what should be contained in chapter 3. A chapter introduction, research design, your research questions, your population selection, data collection procedures, data analysis procedures, ethical considerations, and your chapter summary. As you're going through and writing that dissertation proposal, make sure you're scheduling regular check-ins with your dissertation chair. That way, they can help keep you on track, make sure the focus is clear, and it will help when you get to the next stage, which is your dissertation proposal defense. All right, you're all done writing up your dissertation proposal. Once you've sent it off to your committee, then the next thing that happens is you schedule a dissertation proposal defense. Now, here's a couple of things you should note about the proposal defense. First of all, it'll probably be what's called a closed defense. A closed defense is when the only people that are present for that defense are you, your dissertation chair, and your dissertation committee members. Now, the proposal defense is usually closed because it's an opportunity for your committee to have an honest discussion with you about your dissertation proposal, about the methods that you'll be using, about the purpose of your study, about everything that's contained in those first 3 chapters. So it's probably going to be closed, unlike your dissertation defense, which is, at most institutions, it's an open defense, meaning everyone can attend, not just your committee. So expect the only people that'll be there are your dissertation chair and your committee members for your dissertation proposal defense. During the defense, you will present your proposal to your committee, and it gives them an opportunity to give you feedback, to ask you questions, give you feedback, maybe give you some ideas about changes to your research methods. And it also is an opportunity for you to ask them specific questions that you may not have been able to ask prior to the defense. So expect that there'll be some exchange back and forth with the committee. The committee will probably make recommendations for you during the defense. And then at the end, they will take a vote on whether or not you can proceed to conduct your research. So it's not that you'll then immediately start your research. You still have to get IRB approval. If you're one of my doc students, you would have still needed to get IRB approval. But it really is their opportunity to tell you that they believe you're ready to conduct research for your dissertation. So a vote will be taken and they'll vote up, yes, you can proceed with your research. They'll say, no, there's a couple of things that you need to change. Or they may even postpone it for a few days, a few weeks, just for you to make changes before you come back, show them the changes, and then they vote up or down on your moving forward with your dissertation research. And that is what happens at the proposal defense for most doctoral students. All right, once you pass your dissertation proposal defense, then you're free to go and get IRB approval and move on to your dissertation research. And you move from being a doctoral student to being a doctoral candidate. So that moves you into the space of A.B.D, all but dissertation. You'll hear that, A.B.D. So you'll become an A.B.D, and that just basically means you've done everything except conduct your dissertation research, write up and successfully defend your dissertation. But altogether, it's one more step that moves you closer to becoming a doctor. All right, that's it for today's video. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I'm able. Hey, thanks so much for watching today's video. I appreciate your engaging with the content here on the Womanist Scholar. If you haven't already done so, please feel free to click the like button and also think about subscribing. That way, you'll be notified whenever another video like this one comes out. Thanks so much for watching and have a terrific day.